Hey everyone, it's Chris, your borderline sloth, and on the day we're recording this is January 4th, the World Braille Day, so I thought we'd watch a little video about the creation of Braille and maybe learn something. I like to be as inclusive as possible. I think it's important for everyone to be included, and so learning a little bit about something that helps those that have visual impairment or blind. I think it's important for us to just kind of know the tools that are out there that people have to use in order to just live life each day. So we're gonna hop right to this, and I hope we learn something new. I know I will, because I'm not familiar with the history of Braille. And if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want more videos, hit the little bell for notifications. And let's get right to this. The video is called The Incredible Story of the Boy Who Invented Braille. It's on BBC Ideas. BBC always has some good videos and programs to watch. So maybe we'll do more reactions of some of their things, especially if it's related to anything that we're focusing on. So let's get right to it.
Where does Braille come from?
Okay, so
The
obviously
story begins in 1812 in France, and a young boy called Louis Braille.
Okay, so 1812, we're in 2023, so that's what, 100, or no, 211 years? Is my math right? So 211 years ago.
He lost his sight in one eye when he was 3.
Okay.
This was the culprit,
Oh.
a sharp tool called an awl.
Okay, if you've never worked with with certain hand tools and stuff, yeah, getting poked one of those definitely hurts. Can't imagine like losing an eye to something, anything. I can't imagine it. And with an awl, that's pretty awful. But with this video, I really like what they're doing is that they are also showing the word like all in Braille as well. So I'm curious as to how many words they're going to do like that, or what kind of representation the rest of the video is going to do.
Which he was playing around with in his father's workshop. His eye got infected, and the infection spread to the other eye.
Yeah, I wonder how much that could have been prevented, like with modern medicine now. Obviously, I don't know the exact circumstances, but I don't know.
5, Louis Braille was completely blind.
Oh, so he had an infection in one eye, and then something must have spread to be blind completely.
But he was determined, and he went on to win a scholarship at France's Royal Institute for Blind Youth.
Good for him.
At the time, the system for reading was pretty basic, just raised letters on a page. So he started working on a new code that would be quicker and more efficient.
Okay, so here he is, a kid, and I guess before Braille it was just raised letters, which, I mean, I could see how that would work, but I could also see how tracing each letter with your fingers would be a lot more time consuming and a lot more, I think, to keep track of mentally as you're reading. So coming up with like a better idea, I think this shows where when it comes to like disabilities and a lot of like populations that are marginalized, is that the larger population tends to forget about their needs. So the innovation for those things almost falls upon those communities themselves. And I think that's something important to learn here, where maybe we should be looking to help others more than we do.
By the time he was 15, Braille's new system was basically complete, and the first edition was published in 1829.
It's amazing.
Braille's system was
15 years old and he had it done. You want to talk about not feeling accomplished with your life? Oh man, Good on
based on a
him.
military code called night writing. Invented by Captain Charles Barbier, it was a system of embossed dots and
Interesting.
dashes that soldiers could read safely with their fingers on the battlefield at night.
That
Braille
is very
simplified
smart.
the system, reducing the cells from 12 to 6 raised dots, so they were the ideal size for a fingertip to feel with one touch. Braille created his raised dots using an awl, the same sharp tool that had caused his blindness, and a flat grill to keep the lines straight and readable.
That's really interesting. Using a military code or way to pass along messages and orders in the nighttime for soldiers to be able to read it, and then modifying that. That's pretty. I mean, that's pretty ingenious. I honestly I didn't even know about the night writing anyway, so that's something new. And to learn that that's where he basically got the idea of how to develop Braille, and then of course using the same tool that caused his blindness.
It's read from left to right like other European scripts. Braille is not a language, it's a system of writing, which means it can be adapted to different languages.
Nice.
Braille codes have been developed for maths and scientific formulae. Braille loved music and invented a system of Braille for writing music.
Oh, that's okay. So I am horrible with music. I've never been able to retain that in my mind or play instruments, but last year I actually taught myself how to somewhat read music, and seeing like that his love of it, he also was able to formulate a way for Braille to also be able to read music. That's that is pretty amazing.
2.
The innovation that he used is
But the medical
is pretty
establishment
incredible.
was conservative, and Braille's innovation was slow to be adopted.
As are
He
most
died of
things,
tuberculosis, aged 43. 2 years before his system was finally taught at the institute where he'd been a student.
unfortunately. That's sad.
100 years later, he was reburied at the Pantheon in Paris in
Awesome.
honour of his work, though his local village insisted on keeping his hands. Over
What?
time, the system did spread throughout the French-speaking world.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I understand the symbolism of it. It's pretty cool that he was reburied in the Pantheon, but keeping his hands, I'd like to think that it's like a symbolic oath. There was a statue and they kept his hands, but I don't think that's what they're saying.
By 1882, it was in use across Europe and had reached North America by 1916.
Nice.
A universal Braille code for English was formalised in 1932. Braille has been revolutionary for many blind people around the world, but with the rise of new technologies, including computers that talk, literacy rates are on the decline.
Oh, that's
In
sad.
1999, a second eponym was given to this extraordinary man.
The further we come along and the further that technology actually develops, it helps, but it also gets rid of a lot of it's a weird thought to think about, and it's one of those problems that like I don't think most of us are going to ever think about because that particular issue doesn't affect us, but I think it is something that we should kind of think about in order to preserve preserve it,
A rare type of asteroid was named 9969 Braille by NASA, a timeless tribute to a great human being.
Okay, so that was a brief introduction to Louis Braille, and I knew absolutely none of it. So, why don't you drop in the comments what you learned? What if you did you know any of that? I personally did not. I didn't know who Louis Braille was. I knew that Braille was named after the person who created it, but as far as like it being a French child who developed it, that was brand new information to me, and I think that's pretty incredible. And it shows that like I think we take children and the youth for granted a lot of times, and I think every generation does this. But the amount of innovation that can come out, it's incredible. So I I think my mission out of learning about this is just kind of keep my eyes and ears open more to what the younger generation is saying and what they're developing, because I think they have a better insight into the future. I think the youth is what pushes us forward. I do have to believe that. So yeah, so people like Louis Braille, develop 15. That's amazing, and hopefully we can use today as a way of furthering our education on other disabilities and the innovations that we have and inventions that we have that help them, and to understand why we need these and why we need to continue to develop these things for everyone. Like for myself, I live with multiple mental health disorders, and there's a lot of innovations that have been made and that haven't been made, like certain therapies that have been developed that help. And we've got a lot to go. There's a lot of things we need to continue to strive for to be better, just as a society as a whole, especially with those that are disenfranchised. Basically, we there's when we don't allow our world to embrace everyone, it really is a detriment to society as a whole. And I think that every little thing we can do to be inclusive is important. I know a lot of people may see that as a negative thing, and unfortunately, I'm always going to disagree with them, because if you're doing something that's going to keep other people from having the same advantages, then there's something wrong with it. So yeah, so we learned about Braille. Hopefully you take this and you go and learn a little bit more. I know I am. There's a couple of things I want to look up, like just weird little factoids, like did they literally keep his hands? That's a little that's strange, but like I understand the symbolism for it, so I'm curious as to whether that was what, if that actually happened, which I'm sure it did, but that's just one of those weird little stories. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll go and you take the time today to learn more about Braille and more about those with that are blind and have visual impairments, and what we can do to help them as a whole. And yeah, so you have a wonderful day. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, subscribe, ring the little bell for notifications, and just keep on hanging on.